I see lots of familiar faces. I see people that were here. Raise your hand if you were at one of my other workshops. Wow, I'm getting a following. I love it. The first workshop I did was on emotional development. The second workshop I did was on self-esteem. And today I'm going to be talking about discipline. So when I say discipline, what's the first word that pops into your head? No. No. Okay. Discipline, no. Punishment. And I'm glad that Estrella said that, and I'll tell you why. Oftentimes, in people's minds, discipline and punishment are synonymous. In other words, they kind of mean the same thing. And I'm going to tell you that they don't for me. So I want to get real crystal clear with you about what discipline is and what discipline is when I'm talking about it. Okay? So we know now discipline is not punishment, so what the heck is it? Well, discipline is a word that comes from disciple, and it means to teach. So discipline has the Latin disciple, and disciple means to teach. It does not mean to punish. So when I talk about discipline, what I'm going to be talking about is a teaching process where you teach your child what's okay and what's not okay, because that's our job, and where you teach your child by how you are, and where you teach your child how to control themselves. Now, this is a whole brand new thought paradigm. When my parents were parenting me, they actually had the belief that it was their job to control us. And I've told this story. I'm one of 8 kids. I'm the 5th in 5 years. Again, hey, grateful to have everything functioning. So there were so many of us, and we were like the Von Trapps. You know how they blew the whistle and they come marching out? Well, that's kind of how we were. And so people would go, oh, wow, they must be really good parents. Look at how they're controlling those kids. Well, what would happen when they left? Okay, the minute that they were not controlling us, all hell broke loose. It was the same way. I went to a parochial school, some very mean, sexually repressed nuns. Anyway, very cruel people. But what happened was the same kind of thing. They believed that it was their job to control us. They did it through fear. They did it through corporal punishment, right? And so the minute they walked out the door, what happened? Again, all hell would break loose. So I'm going to change your thought paradigm, and when I tell you about discipline, I'm going to tell you it's a teaching process, it's not punishment. And what I'm going to say is that it is your job to teach your kids what's okay and what's not okay. That is our job. But it's our job to teach our kids how to be self-controlled. Because if you do a really good job with your kids, they're not going to live with you forever. And if you're not going to be there, you want them to be able to make some good choices for themselves and to be self-controlled. And so that's what discipline is. It is not punishment. Let's talk about what it is too. Again, I'm going to go through exactly. Okay, so we know it's not punishment. In fact, I say good discipline does not use punishment or rewards. And you're like, well, you don't use punishment? You don't use rewards? Well, what the heck do you do? Well, that's what I'm going to teach you today. I'm going to teach you what good discipline is. And again, what used to be considered, just so you know, what used to be considered good discipline when I was a kid is now considered abuse. So the world, no, the world has really changed. Even when I first started teaching, I started teaching kindergarten in 1977. Right after I graduated from ASU. As I was teaching kindergarten, the principal asked me if I would witness him taking a large stick and hitting a child. And I thought, wow, he's got the wrong girl here. Didn't last very long at that school. But the point of the matter is that the principal was taking a paddle and hitting a kid. Now, and I'm just talking 77, 87, 97, 2007, a little over 30 years later, if a principal or a teacher or anyone were to take an object or even their hand and hit a child, what would happen? They would go to jail because it is considered abuse. I am a mandated reporter as a counselor. I am a mandated teacher. mandated as a teacher to report abuse, and it is considered abuse. In fact, the United States is kind of way far behind. There are a lot of other countries that formed a coalition, Sweden being the first one. In 1976, Sweden outlawed corporal punishment of children. There's a coalition of 17 European countries where it is illegal to hit or spank children. Period. So the world has changed. That's what I'm trying to get people to understand, is because what used to be, how many of you were hit when you were a kid? Alrighty. So what will happen is we often will parent like we were parented unless we learn a better or a different way. And what used to be okay is clearly today not okay. And I feel good about that. I feel like I've been a big part of that movement, and I feel very happy that the world is changing so that we teach children how to resolve conflict nonviolently, so that we teach them about emotional and physical safety, and we provide emotional and physical safety for our children. World peace is possible. One of my number one rules is people are not for hurting. It is never okay to hurt yourself. It is never okay to hurt others. And it is never okay to destroy property. World peace is possible if everybody teaches their kids that. Let's be the ones that start to teach our kids and our grandkids that. Okay, so it's not punishment, and it helps children develop an internal locus of control. So if you were at my last workshop, we talked about the difference between an external locus of control, right, and an internal locus of control. Does everybody understand that concept? Because it's important. Everybody good with me? Okay, give me like a head nod or something. Hello, everybody. Okay, a little head nod, a little nonverbal. Thank you. That would be good. Okay, and it shows, so good discipline shows kids what they've done. It also gives them ownership of the problem, gives them options for solving the problem, leaves their dignity intact. And this is a big one. Leaves the child's dignity intact. Does physical force leave a child's dignity intact? Think about when you were a kid. Did it leave your dignity intact? No, it doesn't. So good discipline has to leave a kid's dignity, and yours too, by the way. Not just theirs, but both of ours, intact. Okay? It also involves real-world consequences, and I do a whole class on consequences. So if you were in my parenting class, we talked about consequences and what they are and how to implement them and the different kinds. So if you want to be a part of a parenting class, we'll go into much greater detail than we are today. So it involves consequences and intervention, or a combination of the two. And it deals with the reality of the situation, not with the power of the adult. It's not about our power. It's not about making kids. It's not about controlling kids. It's about teaching kids how to make good choices for themselves and how to be self-controlled. And last but not least, it uses common sense, and it views mistakes as opportunities to learn. When I was growing up, my parents had two mistaken beliefs. One was that in order to motivate us to do better, they had to point out everything that we did wrong. How many of your parents had that same kind of mistaken belief? That in order, they had to point out everything that you did wrong, and they were just trying to help you to do better. How many of your parents had that same kind of thought pattern? Well, guess what? It was pretty common. But what they don't understand is that kids' behavior matches how they feel about themselves inside, so you don't make them feel like a little piece of crap and expect better behavior after that, right? How many of you were motivated when your parents criticized and judged you? Did that motivate you to do better? I don't know, think back. It's good to kind of understand certain patterns that were established as your parents parented you, because I'm going to tell you the truth. You will parent as you were parented, especially in times of stress, unless you learn a better or a different way. So kudos to all of you for coming here and learning a different way.